Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. The US market took an absolute beating today, and everything turned red. So, are we in one of those moments where Bitcoin is about to make it or break it? Are the macro conditions getting worse once again? Well, let's discuss this notion today, and let's talk about a few other things as well. So, welcome, guys. Hopefully, you are doing good today. Like I said, absolutely horrible day. Really bad day. You can see Dow ended up basically negative 700. NASDAQ down negative 300. And it was just no good. Coinbase also reported. You know what? The good thing about Coinbase is they actually beat expectations. Okay? Their loss was less than expected. Their revenue was more than expected. And their users actually were more than expected, even though it's been declining month over month, right? I kind of speculated this morning. I'm like, this is based on Q4, right? Q4 crypto market was still pretty bleak. We're still like below 20,000, right? So I didn't expect them to have a spectacular earnings, but regardless, they sold off even after beating expectations. They have sold off, but not as bad as people thought, okay? But here's the thing. This is measuring Q4, okay? This is not measuring Q1. So far, Q1, we know, starting from January, basically like the second week of January, we have come up and really kind of decouple from the market. Okay, so I'll get to that a little bit. So we'll see. But Coinbase, you know what? They actually, even though they lost a whole bunch of money, they beat expectations, which is good. But there's a couple other things coming out of Coinbase. Number one, we do not believe, this is from their shareholder letter, we do not believe we have violated any security laws. Coinbase staking products are not securities. USDC is not a security. The list goes on and on, right? So basically, Coinbase is saying, hey, we have done nothing wrong, okay? And they gave a big, fat middle finger to Gary Gensler. Basically is what they did. But it does seem like, though, according to Fox Business, I don't know how true this is, Coinbase is in talk to create a federally regulated Bitcoin and crypto exchange. Now, does the U.S. need a Bitcoin exchange basically regulated by the Fed? The answer is no, because all of our exchanges in the U.S. are already federally regulated. But you know what this may be for? This may be the digital dollar that the Fed wants to create, the CBDC, the digital dollar that has been highly rumored. This may be created for that reason alone, okay? And Coinbase may be helping the Fed create just that, okay? But here's the thing. Is anyone going to use it? I don't know. Unless the Fed and others, the SEC, CFTC, and everyone else starts cracking down on the centralized exchanges in favor of a federally regulated Bitcoin exchange. I mean, they're all federally regulated, so I'm not quite sure the difference, but one that the Fed controls, right? And we know CBDCs are very hot. Every country on earth is thinking about releasing CBDC, and not for the reasons that we would like to think why they want to create a CBDC. No, it's not because for the betterment of their citizens or the people. No, it's to track and monitor their citizens more. So it's not a good thing. I hope this is false. I hope this is not true. But speaking of stablecoins, Circle, which is the company backed by Coinbase in partnership with Coinbase, who both control USDC, they're coming out with one that's called Eurocoin. I don't know what the symbol will be. EuroDC or I don't know. EuroC. I guess it's just EuroC. That makes more sense. Instead of USDC, it's just EuroC. But they're coming out with a Eurocoin. Interesting enough. So is the Is the ECB going to have a problem with this? So they're coming out with a euro stablecoin. I don't know if the ECB is talking about creating a CBDC, but all the countries within the Eurozone are talking about it. I don't know about the ECB itself. Are they going to have a problem with it? I don't know. But there's a lot of stuff happening with Coinbase right now. But overall today was not a good day. Not a good day for markets. Unfortunately, it brought down Bitcoin a little bit too. Bitcoin is now at 24.1. It actually just dipped below 24,000, but we have seen that before. That's not a surprise. We had a big dip right here before, down into about 23.2, went right back up, right? And we had a big dip over here to 23.8 and a big dip here. Strangely enough, every time these dips happen is when Bitcoin tries to break 25,000. Or it comes after Bitcoin breaking 25,000. Let me rephrase, right? So this is the first time Bitcoin broke about 25,000, 25.2, then broke down, right? And here you have another one right here. And then we just broke it, and then we went down, right? Are we going to climb back up? So there's definitely something going on. This is why I'm labeling the make it or break it moment for Bitcoin. Okay, what is it going to do? Right? Some people think if we break that 25,000, we will skyrocket immediately up to 30,000. But some people also think if we don't, we're going to plummet down to 15,000, right? So this is what it's looking like right now. So are we going to break through? Are we going to make it? Or are we going to break it and go back to 15,000? I think that's a drastic drop. I don't see that happening. Some people are still clinging on, especially the bears and naysayers are still clinging on that we're going to form a new bottom. I still hear people talk about, hitting 12,000 or 11,000 as a bottom, right? They are desperate. They are desperate because they either have some shorts piled on that are about to get liquidated, or they missed out on this recovery and they wish to buy back in. That's exactly what's happening right now, okay? But we do know there is a big fight going on right now, right around 25,000 because, and I showed this morning, because it's a very crucial level. After 25,000, we're going straight up to 28, 29,000. So that is why it's so crucial and so hard to break. But, let's put things into perspective. We only tested it 3 times so far, and it's only been a week. The first time we tested 25,000 was February 16th. Today is only the 21st, so it's only been 5 days. It's not like we've been testing it for 5 months or 5 weeks or 5 years. We've only tested it 5 days, okay? So for people that are getting antsy or, again, predicting all doom and gloom, right? Just chill. Just chill. It's only been a week, less than a week, since Bitcoin has pumped up, right? Tested 25,000, and it's just a matter of time we break through. If we zoom out a little bit, I mean, come on. We were here for a little bit, and then, if I have to zoom out a little more, we've been suppressed for a long time, okay? So whatever we're going through right now is nothing compared to the 14 months of down cycle that we just got past and we lived through, right? This is nothing. But couple interesting things, though. Couple very interesting things. Number one is this is actually measuring the coupling or decoupling between Bitcoin and the S&P 500. Okay, and my camera's cutting it off, but very rarely do you actually see Bitcoin decouple away from the U.S. market. This is one of those times. Now, previously we had that back in November, which was actually bad because the U.S. market was rallying, but Bitcoin was not moving. So that's kind of how you know that that's like bottom, right? But now we're decoupling because U.S. market has been selling off a lot recently, but Bitcoin is still staying strong above 24,000. So we're starting to see that decoupling from the U.S. market, which is absolutely fantastic. That's what we want to see. As Bitcoin gets bigger and bigger and bigger and the market cap expands, we're going to see less and less correlation with the U.S. market. We're not quite there yet, but We will. But here's another interesting correlation, that Bitcoin is actually really correlated to the Chinese stock market, the Shanghai Composite Index. You can see it's going 1-to-1. And why this is the good thing is because the Chinese stock market is about to rally. It's about to rally hard, okay? Not only did I talk about some of the pro-crypto stuff that's been happening recently with Hong Kong, with coming out with crypto trading and licensing crypto exchanges once again, but, you know, China's opening up now, right? Zero COVID policy. They are opening up. Everything is about to start blooming in China. Their banks is injecting money into the economy, keeping interest rates low, right? They are about to bloom. And if Bitcoin is truly coupled to the Chinese market right now, well, that's good. That means Bitcoin is about to bloom too, right? So these are great things. Great things that are happening. Now, other great things in terms of Bitcoin, well, the Golden Cross. We have passed the Golden Cross. We have formulated a Golden Cross, and we're moving past, and we're going forward, right? This is also very, very positive. Traditionally speaking, a very, very bullish sign for Bitcoin. Doesn't happen very often, and sometimes when it does, we get tremendous movement like this. This is over a long term, but I mean, there's no easier way to break this down than this chart right here. Bitcoin is going to continue to move forward. This is zoomed out, going all the way back to the beginning. So when zoomed out, you don't notice all the little dips. You don't notice all the volatility, the macro conditions, the exchange failures, the rug pulls, and the bad actors. No. What you just notice is Bitcoin always forms a new high, comes back down, and then forms a new high. That's simply it. And there's a lot of indicators on a long-term scale measures this. And you can see every single one measures it pretty perfectly. And whenever you have a bottom and Bitcoin starts coming up, all these indicators start showing that you're going to go to the upside. And that's exactly what's happening right now. So this whole notion of making or break it, you know, traders care about that. But if you're an investor, especially a long-term investor, right? None of that matters. None of the stuff about macro matters. You know that Bitcoin will continue to go up because the holders continue to hodl and continue to DCA, and with the growing adoption, with the growing fundamental, the growing everything, okay, about Bitcoin. Anything measurable. It's all growing. So it's just a matter of time. We break up, we continue higher, and form a new high. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. All right. Now, besides Bitcoin, there's a few other projects I want to talk about. One that's pretty significant. One that actually it's a significant partnership. Hey, Bitcoin's coming up while I'm talking. That's good. 24.2, 24.3. That's good. We'll be right back up to 24.6, 24.8 like it never happened, right? But I did see this. Pretty significant. Microsoft recently, it's been pretty hot because ChatGPT, obviously, with AI, they're focused on AI. This morning, they also announced something with huge. All these Xbox games will be available in the cloud. This partnership with NVIDIA, Microsoft is just making a lot of headline news right now, okay? They could do no wrong, except their stock has not been doing so right. But like Bitcoin, I think they're going to continue forward. But here's the thing. They partnered up with ANKR to offer enterprise node services. And that is what ANKR is really all about. Really providing nodes or RCP service points to the masses, right? But partnering with Microsoft is interesting because this is specifically created for enterprises, for other people that want to get involved with blockchain and maybe creating their own projects, Web 3.0 games. You know, the possibility is endless, right? And maybe, who knows? Maybe Microsoft is going to make it so that you can come out with your own ChatGPT node. You know, who knows? The possibility of this is endless. But it's a big partnership, I believe, especially for ANKR because they're a relatively small project. They have been kind of like, you know, they used to be like a staking project, but they have really expanded beyond that. They really call themselves a Web 3.0 infrastructure project, right? Because they do offer many Web 3.0 things. For example, they do have something called App Change, which allows projects to basically come out with their own blockchain really quickly and offer their own tokens and have validators and stuff like that really, really quickly. It's very new. It's very new because they only have like 2 apps on there right now, right? But this is what they're about. Basically getting people involved with Web 3.0, right? And they are basically the node provider. What they're really known for is their RPC service. Now, before, they would just rent out basically hosting space for you to run your nodes. But now it's different. Like you're basically renting a node from ANKR, but that ANKR node can talk to various number of blockchains out there. In fact, 27 of them. And you get to do remote calls to them and gather information. It's almost like a Chainlink built in to their node service. Sort of in a very layman's way of explaining it. And with that, there's a lot of things that could be done. For example, they will be doing RPC connection to ZK Sync. So for people that want to utilize ZK rollups for scaling for their Ethereum-based app, they can, right, within their node. So stuff like that. There's a lot of possibilities there. They also, of course, I said they kind of started out being known as a staking project, right? And they do have a lot of staking, liquid staking that allows you to participate in, like Ethereum, for example. You could liquid stake and get something in return, like a synthetic version of ETH, but also for several other chains like Polygon, Binance, Phantom, Avalanche, Polkadot, etc. So that's ANKR in a nutshell. But I think this is pretty big, and we'll see what happens with this partnership. Now, another chain that I like a lot that's also kind of connecting different chains and different dApps and is in the Web 3.0 space is Cosmos. And they have just announced they're allocating $40 million for ecosystem development in 2023. Basically, it's not the biggest funding or allocation. We have seen projects hand out when it was good in 2021, like hundreds of millions of dollars, right, to try to spur up dApp makers or incentivize dApp makers to spur up the ecosystem, right? But this is significant. And in case you question that ecosystem, look at this fancy graphics, right? There's a lot of things happening within Cosmos right now, and there's more things that will be happening. But right now what you're seeing is 54 chains that are communicating each other in a Cosmos, right? That's the name, Cosmos. So that is what's happening right now. And of course, they have a ton of dApps, a ton of DeFi. There's a ton of everything. So I'm a big fan of Cosmos. And also, I've talked a lot about interchain security, right? They are still coming out with that, but they have renamed it to Replicated Security. That's the new name. And this gives incentive for people to hold Atom, because right now Atom can only be used really for staking purposes. But what Cosmos is going to introduce with their next upgrade is the ability for smaller chains to basically borrow nodes and borrow security from the main chain, right? So it makes it very easy for dApp makers to come aboard Cosmos and just deploy really quickly. And for them to be able to borrow the security from the main chain, well, they have to basically give Atom for that. So it's giving incentive for Atom makers because now it kind of gives a use case for Atom besides staking, right? So that is coming in Q1. So that should be right around the corner, possibly in March. So they call it replicated security. Before, they used to call it interchain security. Regardless, it's a new function. Rather than try to just introduce a burn, because most projects, when they don't know what to do, they just introduce burning and say, okay, yeah, let's call it a day. No, this is actually giving, this is a new use case for the token. So that's fantastic. All right. So that's pretty much it. Overall, today, the U.S. market crashed. Overall, crypto market came down a little bit. Bitcoin was hit a little bit, negative to 3%. Not nearly as bad as some of the other project or other companies, I should say. But you know, the alts took a little beating today. Little beating. Really no reason for it. You know, like Polygon went down 8%. There's no reason for that. You know, Solana, Polkadot, Sheep, Uniswap, you know, Chainlink, a lot of project Lido took a beating today. But really no reason other than fear. People panicking, always thinking, oh, we're about to go down. We're going to drop to 15,000. I better panic sell while I can, right? This is really what it comes down to. But just know that Bitcoin is doing what it's always been doing, which is slowly stair-stepping its way up. And when you zoom out, you don't notice it. But when you zoom in, you realize it doesn't just skyrocket and go up infinitely. There's a lot of volatility in between, right? And that's exactly what it's doing. But since January to now, we have been doing great. We have been recovering from bottom, and there's more recovery to go. So stay strong, my friends. All right, let's do some Q&A. You know, someone sent me an email today saying, hey, if someone asks you a question, you know, you should do a poll in the live chat. I'm like, yeah, that's not a bad idea. But that would be a lot of polls to be doing. Well, I may incorporate some of that just to make it a little bit more interactive for some of you guys. All right. Scrolling up here. Let's see if I missed anything. Kyle says, why would the feds need Coinbase to create their exchange? Because they have no experience in coming out of the exchange and how to handle other exchanges, you know, the order books and getting liquidity and making sure it's secure. You know, they still need to secure it. There's a lot of things the Fed can learn from Coinbase. Charlie says, great DCA opportunity today. That is right. Love Cosmos. Yep, I do too. Astar partner with Toyota. Yes, I already talked about that before. Not sure what Toyota's going to do with them, but it's pretty good. Pretty good. Why isn't, Barry's asking, why isn't anyone talking about being declared a non-security after working with SEC? I don't know. Because very little projects have been declared non-securities. There's a few. But overall, I don't think people quite understand what it means to be a security or non-security. And I think people don't really care about Gary right now because he's making a lot of assumptions. He's making bold claims which are untrue, which also makes it less relevant in terms of what's really security, what's not. Honestly, the way Gary's going, probably his predecessor will give us the proper rules and regulations. But it's probably not going to be Gary. I don't know. DZO, I believe, but I can't imagine what 100K or 200K BTC will do to the haters. I mean, there'll always be haters. As we come up, once we hit 100K or 200K, There'll still be haters and say, hey, prepare for the worst crash ever in Bitcoin's history. And they will continue to say so. And there will be naysayers that say, well, it's still backed by nothing. And there will always be haters. But you know what? As long as you're right and they're not, that's all that matters. George, did you watch Last of Us? I watched the first episode and I thought it was so I stopped watching it. Are you more bullish on Bitcoin or ETH? I don't know. About even. To be quite honest, I was more bullish on Ethereum. But they have been disappointing recently. So you can't ever go wrong with either, in my opinion. But Bitcoin is the big daddy. You gotta go with Bitcoin. But right now, if you're going with either, I think you're fine. Does Waxby have a future? There's a ton of games, and they're really into NFTs. I covered them a few times, Jan, in 2021. I have no idea why they just died off. They have huge partnerships. I remember they have a partnership with Topps, right, with baseball. What was that? Cabbage Patch Kids, and a few other things. A few other ones I forgot, but they have a ton. But I get, when the market came down, people became less interested in those games and NFTs. But they could come back very strong. Thoughts on Celsius plan? I have 5K in it. I don't know if they have a new plan. I don't know. Just waiting to see what happens. That's pretty much it. Any updates with Decentraland? Absolutely zero. None that I have come across. Decentraland used to be so popular with their festivals, with all these brands coming aboard. Now I don't hear about anything with Decentraland. So I'll have to I'll dig a little bit and see. Jolamas, it feels like the 15K crowd has been in the game for a while and already made money in crypto. For those of us who got in 2021, we can't afford to miss this change to lower our cost basis. I guess. Yeah, a lot of people that has been in Bitcoin for a long time. Even you could argue like Sailor, right? Because he got in when it was 8,000. Yeah, 15K means nothing, right? But people who got in after the fact, because in 2021 the low point, at least mid 2021 was like 28K. But people who got in higher, I should say. I mean, the way to recover faster is the DCA. DCA, while it's low, bring your cost average down. So when we get back to previous levels, then you'll be in the green already. You don't have to wait for new highs just to get back to previous levels. You'll be in the green. I mean, that's the whole point of DCA, right? And it takes the guessing out of it. So I guess, yes, you are right. Web3 is complaining that he super chatted me once, got a short answer without an effort on his part. Here, I'm going to put effort and block you from the channel. How's that for effort? George, any thoughts on Illuvium launching 3 games mid-year? Most don't realize it's a gaming studio with 9 games planned. That's new to me, and honestly, that's a little disappointing. Okay, because they never start off being a gaming studio. They're supposed to come out with the greatest game ever, okay? The graphics, The fan art or the render art were phenomenal. So the fact that they didn't even come out with it and they're concentrating on other games, that, I mean, to me, that actually seems like a red flag. So what happened to the original game they promised, right? It's supposed to be like a big RGP, like a metaverse game. How come that's not done? So this notion that you know, they're becoming a gaming platform, that's silly to me. What's your thoughts on Floki and Rosen? Nicole, I really don't have thoughts on either one, especially Floki. I don't know what this Rosen is. No idea. Is it another meme coin? I'm certainly not going to look at it since it's pumped up 86%. When and where do you expect Arbitrum to drop? I don't know, but Arbitrum is like the leading L2 for Ethereum right now. So when they do drop their token, I think it's going to do really well. Look at some of the other L2s. They have been coming up quite a lot. So if Arbitrum comes, it's probably going to do well. I don't know when. Chris, are you ready? Chris asks, are you ready for a new manic bull phase? Would you like it a bit longer chilling? No, I'm ready. I don't need to chill anymore. We had the worst, or not the worst, but the longest longest downtrend. Okay, the longest prolonged downtrend in Bitcoin's history, 14 months, and I had enough of that. I've been through too many of them, so it's like, okay, let's start recovering. Let's get back to 30,000. Let's get back to 30, 35,000. Maybe hover there for a little bit, and then let's make it to 40 or 50,000, right before the halving event, and then let's break through the previous 69,000 afterwards. Johnny, I don't really have any thoughts on HBAR. A lot of people ask me about it. I know it's been changing, but I'm neutral on them. I need to do more research into them, but they have smart contracts. They're open source. They have a big console with Google on board and IBM, sitting in the console. There's some good things about it, but I've been neutral for a while on them. I'll do some more research. Is Arweave part of your weekly DCA folder? I have them. Danny. I have them in there. I swore I have them. Yeah. I think so. Well, we'll see tomorrow. Tomorrow's DCA night, so we'll take a look. Pickle Rick. George, I paid off my Jeep last week, 2017 Jeep Renegade. I know you love cars. Congratulations. Paying off your cars debt-free, big accomplishment, right? It takes the burden off of you. If you could pay off your house and your car and you just like living debt-free, that's awesome, right? But, sometimes having debt is good because it frees you up some money to invest with, but only if you could afford it, which most people don't. Most people don't use debt the right way. Most people use debt the wrong way, right? They use debt to buy things that depreciate, that aren't assets. But if you use debt the right way, you buy assets that will appreciate and will hedge against inflation, That's the right way to do it. But congratulations. Why have a basket of L2 projects and not just one or two if they all average a 10x return? Because you just don't know, Orange Lambo. Some may do 100x. Some may do 50x, while some do a 20x, right? So why not get your bases covered? Do you know about Cartesi Layer 2 for Cosmos? Should have a great bull run. You know, I used to. I forgot about them. Are they really? They're not really into Cosmos. They did good today. Their high was 50 cents. No, their high was over here. Ooh, like almost $2. You know, I hate Linux, so just because of that, I can't get behind this project. And I don't think they're on top of Cosmos. Well, maybe they're built with Cosmos SDK, but it seems like they're on L1. I covered them before. I have to get more familiar with them again. Chris says, LMAO, fathers want cheap Bitcoin at 15K, but they were scared to buy in. Yeah, I mean, all the people that say, yeah, we're going to see 15K or 12K, if it happens like next week or a month, I guarantee you those guys won't be buying because they'll be screaming, oh, 5K Bitcoin or 10K Bitcoin, right? That's the thing. Most of the people that are spreading FUD will never actually buy at the point that they say it's going to fall to. They just do it because they're miserable. And that's simply it. Now, there are some people that are not spreading FUD and they're using all these charts and they're saying, they're convincing themselves it has to happen. But, you know, TA and everything, it works until it doesn't. That's honestly the truth, right? So a lot of people that have followed certain patterns or charts, you know, they've been left out too. But for most part, the FUD spreaders, they're the ones that are just miserable. That's really it. I like spreading hate about Linux just to get all the Linux lovers mad. What do you think will hit 30K BTC? I don't know. It could come tomorrow, and come next week, it come next month. I just know this. We've come up a lot. We just broke through 24,000. We hit 25,000 just 5 days ago. It seems like it's been forever. It's been less than a week since we hit 25,000 for the first time, right? If we retrace a little bit, am I worried? No. Do I think this is a make or break moment where if Bitcoin somehow can't break it above 25, it's going to fall to 15K? Can it happen? Sure. Is it important? No. Long term, this is nothing. We go through periods like this before. We have gone through periods like this, and we will go through more periods like this. So that's kind of how I see it. Do you think World War III is going to happen? I hope not, because that's one of those events that will kill Bitcoin. Okay, forget the casualties, but it'll kill Bitcoin and crypto because it'll be the end of humanity pretty much. So I don't look forward to that. I don't think anyone looks forward to that. All right, guys, I'll let you guys go. Overall, let's see how tomorrow does. Today was absolutely horrible. Tomorrow's pre-market looking a little bit better. But you know what? Coinbase did better than expected, so that's good. And, you know, China's doing good. So that's good. That's going to help with supply chain, manufacturing, production, and maybe even Bitcoin. Yeah, I certainly think so. So we'll see what's going to happen tomorrow. Tune in, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. We'll see where Bitcoin heads to. Have a good night. Take care. Bye-bye.